Okay, few announcements. For this assignment breakout, you do not have to submit APK file. I'm going to go over how to do this though, but I realize, next assignment we're going to talk about APK conversion and dynamic positioning and some other things you need to understand to create better app. So basically, for this one, you can try to submit APK. I put it as optional. Uh, but you will actually face some issues. Okay? What issues? For instance, you can create the background image. Okay? And then if you decide, I'm going to show you, if you decide to uh, build your game for Android device, you actually have to think about how you are going to make your background image fit into different types of Android device. Okay? And then, yeah, Android device is very popular. Okay, that's great. So you create a game for Android, and a lot of people can actually download and play. But the issue is, there are so many companies, and they create slightly different Android devices in terms of resolution. So screen dimension is like big hurdle for game developers because some like high-end game Android devices has really high resolution and good like a screen resolution, but some the low-end Android device actually don't have that high resolution. Then you have to think about, oh, do I have to create a game for high-end Android device, or kind of low-end, or just kind of like middle quality? So there are many things you need to think about. I'm going to mention that, okay, but I don't want to give you kind of extra stress to do that for this particular project. But next assignment will be creating a simple app, okay, using Unity. And then in that, you actually have to think about, because the reason why I made APK submission as optional is because I don't want you to kind of change your existing game just for Android device. Yes.
I did make a little build for an executable file. Could I submit that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're going to actually talk about it today, though. Yeah. And another thing is, okay, how many of you guys are like a transfer student and first semester here? Okay, first semester here. Okay, one. And how many of you guys are freshmen? No? Okay. We are trying to have semester-long study abroad. Technically, it's still study abroad program at Mason, Korea. How many of you guys would be interested going to Mason, Korea, which is in Incheon, South Korea, and take a semester there? Tuition-wise, the same. If you live on campus, I think cost for living on campus is $5,000 per semester. In Korea, that's $1,500. So technically, you can take that $3,500 to purchase airfare, and then usually living cost probably similar to here, but still housing cost is cheaper. So it's kind of, I think it's okay in terms of living cost. And because it's our campus, we offer some 200 level game courses, and then there's possibility for you to take some classes online for upper level or 300 level courses. Anyone would be interested? Not sure? Maybe. For your information, we do have study abroad student exchange program with the University of Ebertay and Howest University in Belgium, and now we're trying to develop one with University of Aiju in Japan. So there will be some more, but obviously, Mason Korea, you still speak English, and you still take like the George Mason's courses, so probably less hassle. And then we're going to have some like a cultural exploration program, such as visiting esports arena and some visiting companies and studios in Korea and those kind of stuff. Anyways, so at least from this class, uh, not that interested. All right. Anyways, okay. So if you go to lesson 4.4, I just put just few more things. Review of recreate. No, that's not it actually. Okay, 4-3 catch game, okay. And build for Android. So literally, you can go to here, getting started with Android development. This is manual, okay, and it will give you pretty good information about how you can build your game for Android device. And I'm going to kind of go over this in a moment. But this is your reference. Okay? You kind of want to sit down and read this, and then you can do step-by-step thing. You will get that Android build. Okay? But then again, yeah, a lot of us, quite honestly, don't want to read. Okay? So just show me how to do it. It can be done really simple way. Okay? It actually got easier these days. Okay? So let's try to do that. So anyways, but here, this part is platform specific and Android, and this has this much information about Android development. Okay? And a lot of times at this level, you're not going to use all of them, but probably you will use a few things such as Android scripting. Here, you will use like screen orientation. That's things we use a lot in this level, and probably some like dynamic positioning, which I'm going to talk about next week. Anyways, this is your reference. Okay? And let's try to look at what we can do here. Okay? So I'm going to go to Unity Hub. Okay. I'm going to create new project just for now. Okay. And I'm going to say test. Okay. And create. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, that's okay. Okay. So I'm going to have this new file. And for now, I'm going to have something like main camera is here, and I'm going to say, I'm going to put little plane, or actually, let's do this. I'm going to put little sphere, delete this. Make it a little big. My main camera is here. Maybe even bigger. Okay. So now I'm going to have this image, and then just use this one as my texture. Okay. So this is what I have. Okay. Now let's try to look at how we can build this for Android device. Okay. So one thing I can do, I can go to File and Build Settings. And at the beginning of the Unity, okay, Unity got very popular, okay, and then their motto was develop once and build for develop once and use it for all the different platforms, basically. So the idea is you basically create something in Unity, okay, once, and then you can choose different platforms and build it for those different platforms. So if you take a look at it, look at the platform setting. Yes, there's a PC, Mac, Linux standalone, Android, and Apple TV, PS4, iOS, Xbox One, WebGL, Facebook. So you can actually create your game and export your games to those different platforms. Okay. Yes, time to time you actually have to tweak a little bit because sometimes even for like a screen resolution or screen dimension, they're slightly different. Okay? So in that case, probably optimization team try to kind of tweak your game a little bit so that your game looks perfect on your devices. Like for instance, you can actually test some games with Android device, like different types of Android device, and then you will realize it's the same game, but some UI appears at slightly different position. Or you can play a game, close it. You can play a game with your iPhone, then you can download and play exactly the same game on your iPad. Okay? It's still same game, but a lot of times their UI are slightly different because they have different screen dimension. Okay, so now let's take a look at Android. I'm going to select Android, okay, and I have these things. Usually you can stick with default value, and first you can click Switch Platform. And then what's going to happen, the first thing is, okay, you will see in your game view, okay, so a lot of times when so far we didn't think about this yet, okay, we probably use it free aspect, but now you can open it, you will see these different types of numbers that represent Android devices, like popular screen size or screen resolution for Android devices. Okay. So you can try this other things. You can go to build settings. Then you can change it back to PC, Mac, Linux standalone, switch platform. Now one of the initial change you will see or you'll notice is this setting. Like now it's display 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then free aspect here. And then it will give you a slightly different aspect. It only gives aspect ratio. Because standalone, you usually pick and choose what screen resolution you want to use. But again, if you change this to Android device, and now, okay, this one's now different. It's a free aspect or all these different numbers. Okay. So now you probably need to think about screen orientation, whether you go to landscape, okay, it's like too big, but landscape, or portrait. So sometimes when you play Android game, if you play it as like landscape mode, okay, you can kind of rotate your screen, and some games actually rotate the screen. Okay, that means actually they didn't lock the screen rotation. Okay, well I can possibly show it to you. Okay. Okay, so yes, I do play game, and so my daughters think I play game all the time, but I say like I do research on these games. So this is one of game I play. like Lord's Mobile. Okay? You probably know what it is. And then, so this one is like screen rotation landscape, right? But if I do this, it actually changes, meaning screen orientation isn't locked. Okay? And then there's another game I play. This is a Hero Wars. This one, even if I rotate my my device, it doesn't rotate the screen, meaning screen orientation is locked. Okay? So that's like something you can kind of think about. Okay? But anyways, so here, if you want to display this content in one way, probably like I should go with landscape in this case. Okay? And then now I realize, oh, my stuff is too big. Okay, so now I have to make some changes. Maybe I can change the size of a main camera. Okay, or like something like this. Okay, and then now in game view, okay, you will actually see more. Okay. So now again, like you have to kind of make that decision. If you are going to use portrait mode, okay, oh, it's too big. So I have to go to main camera and make sure I can display everything on my screen. Okay. Anyways, okay, that being said, okay, now, okay, a lot of them now actually automated, so you don't have to worry too much about it. You can go to File, Build Settings, choose this Android switch platform, and then just build. Okay. And then basically it asks you to name, like which name you are going to save your file. So I'm going to say like test 1019 or 1017, okay, and save. And package name has not been set up correctly. This is a common error. Well, this is kind of default error you are going to get. Okay, no matter what you do, okay, if you try to build it for Android device, this is an error you're going to get, no matter what. Okay, so I'll click OK, and then try to read it. Please set the package name in the player settings. Okay, and then it actually give you some good explanations. I'm going to click OK. Then it said player setting. Okay, player setting. It automatically opens up player setting. Then it said package name. So package name is right over here. Company name, product name, and version. Okay, and then here down here, this is Android, and there is a package name somewhere. I think I have to here, other settings. Under other settings, okay. Here, this is package identification package name. Okay. So here, if you want to create something for Android device, like iOS, like pretty much the same, but it's slightly different. You have to give your game or app a unique identification. Okay, and there's a syntax to choose that name. Okay, so here, up here, it said company name. It's a default company name. I'm going to maybe say GMU. Okay, and product name, our name is test. Version doesn't matter. Okay, now, once you choose company name, product name, okay, company name doesn't have to be registered. Okay, this is just like unique identification. So as long as it's unique, okay, it doesn't matter. Okay, so you can choose GMU or your name or the name of your future studios. Okay, you can choose whatever you want. Okay. And then down here, it said package name com.company.product name. So instead of company, I'm going to say so com.gmu.product name as test. Okay. So this name, this package name, must be matched with whatever you typed here. Okay. And now, I'm going to click build. Okay, and save. And it will go all the way, and it will create like a new folder, and inside it will have that APK file. So almost done. So this process became a lot easier. Previously, hey, I can actually show you this. So now it's done. Okay. So actually, it has a test 1017 APK file. Okay. Now, you can download it to your phone and then install it. And it will appear in your phone, on your phone. And when you do this, though, like to allow, you have to allow your phone to download and install like a third party's like software, something like that. I'm going to show you that in a moment. Okay. So this one now is very straightforward, but it's kind of funny because like if you look at the YouTube, okay. Now I want to kind of show you one thing really quick. Okay. So I did have some like video tutorials on how to do these things, and then yeah, Android SDK location. This one was pretty somewhat like popular, meaning like a lot of people trying to find how to do these things, like 16K views, and then along with that, I think yeah, I mean like you can find these types of things. Okay, Android, how to build for Android device. I actually talked about it. In this video, I'm going to show you how to build. And then yeah, this is only 2K though, but so this one actually 16K means a lot of people actually try to find out how to do these things, and then previously, you actually had to install this Android SDK separately. And then sometimes you have to manually put this SDK in the right position. And then it was kind of hard sometimes. But now, Unity came up with better way. You really don't have to do all these things. Like you can just install it and then do it. So I actually show you this in a moment. So I'm going to close this. And close it. Okay. So actually this one is, I used it 2019.1. Okay. So now this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to new, same thing, 2019.1. Okay, hold on. Okay. So I'm going to do actually 2019.2. Okay. I'm going to create something new for 2019.2. Okay. Test 20. Oops. Test 2019.2. Okay. I actually didn't install everything for 2019.2 to show you how to do this kind of thing. So now I'll basically do the same thing. Yeah. Ooh. Okay, and then main camera, something like this. Okay. And now again, like in the game, this is still like standalone. So here, it said PC, Mac, Linux standalone. So it just gives me like free aspect. But I can switch it to Android, switch it platform. And then now I have this free aspect along with all these different uh, screen resolutions. Okay. I'll put something like this, or actually something like this. Okay. Now I'm going to go to build settings. Okay. Build and test 2019 2 or something. Save. Okay. Oh, what's going on? Actually, it works. It's not supposed to work. Strange. Strange. Okay, I'm kind of embarrassed now. Actually, the reason why I said it's not supposed to work is, okay, 2019.2, right? And so you actually have to have certain SDK and stuff. Okay. So what is supposed to happen was, okay, I wanted to show you this one. If you go to preferences, okay, here, okay, this is actually what happened. I actually, yeah, put this in manually. That's why it worked. Okay. Okay. Because I kind of looked at it early morning and then I accidentally fixed it. Okay. So I'll actually do it again. Okay. Build settings, build, tree, and save. So now, sometimes you get this. Android SDK not found. Okay. And then you would see like, oh, Android SDK not found. What does that mean? Okay. So now you probably realize, oh, to create something for Android device, I need to have Android SDK standard development kit. Okay. So that should be present somewhere. Okay. And then where you can find it is here. Go to Unity preferences. And then you will go to external tools. And then here there's Android, and there's Android SDK and Android NDK. Okay. Oh, so it actually is empty, and then there's warning sign. Okay. So it's not really common mistake, but if you go to Unity Hub, okay, this is what usually happens. You can go to installs. Yeah, I have some other versions. So you can do add modules. Then you can choose Android build support. Okay. And your thinking is done. Okay. But if you do this for 2019, okay, this is what you will see. Add modules, okay, Android build support. I actually installed it. That's why I couldn't switch the platform to Android. But if you open it, okay, it actually says, oh, I had to download Android SDK NDK tools and OpenJDK. Okay. You have to make sure you install them. Okay. To do this, right? And then sometimes, I mean, like Unity Hub is really convenient stuff. So I look at 2019.1.8 and I see this Android build support and before augmented reality support. Now, whatever you add, okay, whatever module you add, it will appear as a small icon here. Okay? So that's like how you see what types of module you added to your system. Okay? So once I install this SDK and NDK, okay, when you go back here, it will be filled, or it will be just get like selected. And sometimes, okay, this one, I don't have to recommend you to do this, but you can actually manually to do this. The reason why it worked before I actually manually browse it and try to find it. Android folder. Okay. Then usually first one. So by looking at this, one of them, okay. So if you go through these folders, I mean, maybe it's kind of hard for you to know, but I've done this for many years. So I can find this Android folder, and then this one actually has NDK helper and other things. So this is a folder I need to choose. Okay. So basically, what happened was, even though I didn't install SDK for 2019.2, I actually connected to 2019.1. So actually, that's why it worked. Okay. But anyways, okay. Now it's a lot easier. Okay. Unity Hub will like automatically install SDK and NDK for you. Okay. So usually you don't have to do it manually. Okay. But sometimes what happens is, like, if you look at my Unity Hub now, I installed like 2018.2, 2018.3, 2019.1, 2019.2 because sometimes you have to kind of have multiple numbers of version, okay? Because I have to sometimes go back to my old project, okay? But sometimes they're not really like compatible with the newer version. Then you can install old version and work on it. And sometimes you require lower version of SDK. Not all the time, but sometimes. Okay. Anyways, so now we can actually test what we have here. So I have this test folder somewhere. Okay, this one. Okay, I do have this test APK. Okay, so sometimes what I do, I just use Google Drive. Okay. Or you can do it like connect the USB. Okay. And I can do, okay. I upload it. Okay, uploaded it. I hope I can find that. Okay, so I'm going to go to Google Drive. So now, I mean, it's kind of hard to see, but I have this test 10.17.apk. Okay, so I'm going to install it. Okay, let's try to do this. And then now, yeah, it actually installing it. Actually, no. Oh, I have to download it. Yeah, so I have to download it. Yeah, but sometimes I mean like everything's really convenient, and I realize, oh, I still have to manually download it. I'm going to download it. Okay. So this one is downloading it now.
Can you find it on the Google Play Store usually?
What?
Can you find it on the Google Play Store usually?
Google Play Store?
Yeah.
That's a little tricky because you can. I think it's now $25. I think you have to be a you have to be registered Android developer. I think it's $25 per year. I think. I mean, I basically subscribe it, and I pay something, but I don't remember how much I pay. For app developers, it's $99 per year. I think Google Android developers $25 per year, I think. And then you post it, then you have to get permission. Actually, you have to usually wait for a couple of days. Then you can actually upload it. And easier way these days is you can post it on itch.io. Like they actually don't have that strict regulation. You just uploaded it, and then it will be good to go. But Google Play Store, you actually have to go through like probably 10 pages of some survey types of thing. You have to give them information, like what is this, and then is it for adult or children, or which country it will be okay, like that kind of stuff. Okay. I usually go over that like at the end of semester, so I'm going to go over that. But yeah, right now, I mean, you don't want to do that. But anyways, so now this APK is done. Okay, download it. So I'm going to open it. Okay. And then, where is it? Okay, so now you can actually see test 1017. You see this Unity icon. Then I'm going to install it. So now it will give you something like this. Do you want to install this application? Okay. It does not require any special access. And then again, like you have to go to your setting on your phone. You have to allow. You can download and install like applications from third party. Okay. And then now I can just install, and it's installing it. Okay. Yeah, app installed, and then open, and Unity, and you'll see this. Okay. I mean, nothing fancy, but now you have this. Okay. So right now, I mean, it doesn't do anything, but actually, if it would be interesting if you convert your like a spinning project, okay, and then you can kind of say, oh, this is my app. What does it do? Doesn't do anything, but it it looks good. Anyways, so now I went through this APK stuff. Okay, so now you're probably thinking, oh, how can I put my catch game like for my Android device? Okay, so here now you can think about the Dwarf Gold game. Okay, maybe I should have opened that and then show you. Okay. I think I have that somewhere. Okay, Dwarf Gold. Oops. Okay. So now I'll explain why. Okay, this dwarf gold is created with this big like area of this like background. Okay, I can go to game and then I can change this to portrait. Okay, so it was developed for portrait mode. Okay, something like this. Okay, and then if you play this, it works with, okay, you can start. It works with your mouse. Okay. The reason why we created this way is because if you want to play this game on Android device, okay, probably you don't want to use keyboard because again, like your Android device wouldn't have keyboard. I mean, you can actually force to open this keyboard, but still, I mean, it doesn't make sense like you use keyboard to control this. Okay. So I use it mouse control. Okay. So it will basically follow your mouse movement. Okay. But when you do this, okay, especially for the Android device or iOS, okay, mouse actually works same as touch screen. So whenever you touch your screen, okay, it recognizes your X and Y coordinate, okay, and then while moving your mouse, it changes that X and Y coordinate basically. Okay. So now, okay, I'm going to quit, and then we do have that Goku thing. Oh, not here. Desktop. This one. Okay. This one is what I worked on last Thursday. Okay. And okay, 9.2. Open it. Okay. And then I put this one right over here. So if you go to mouse control, okay, this is actually a script that I got from the Dwarf Gold. Okay. I'm going to show you what it is in a moment. Okay. So this is what I have. Okay. So I'm going to use this one, okay, and then explain how this mouse control works in a moment. Okay. So now I have this guy right over here. Okay. Again, for now, this one works with actually this one works with keyboard. Once I click start, okay, so I like works like this. Okay. So now, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put my dwarf controller.cs. Okay. Okay. Where did it go? Okay, here, right over here. I'm going to simply add it to my player, which is a pedal left. Okay. So you can just drag it and attach it like this. Okay. Now it's attached right over here. Okay. So only thing it asks you is here script and cam. Okay. So you drag this main camera into here, or you can simply click here, this one, and then choose main camera. Okay. And then play, start. Actually, it's not working. Let's find out why. Okay. And I'm going to open Dwarf controller. I probably have to connect it with the player. Okay. So now let's try to see how we can make this guy happen. Oh, the reason why, maybe I should like fix this before to share it, but this one actually has this movement enabled boolean. Okay. So basically, if you think about this start, I mean, again, if you look at our HUD, okay, we did have the game manager, okay, and then we do have this game on, okay, game on boolean, okay, and then basically this one dwarf controller has kind of similar system, but we named in that game I named it as movement enabled. Okay, so there's few ways you can make it happen. Okay, so one, you can totally just ignore this. Okay, ignore, and ignore. Okay. And then, because it really doesn't matter because we don't use this movement enabled anyways. Okay, so now I'm going to save it and play. So now, as you can see, now I'm not using my keyboard. I'm just using my mouse. And then I can control my character with my mouse. Okay. And now, okay, let's actually take a look at what this guy really does. Okay. So main idea is, okay, again, sometimes you don't have to understand every single line, but I still want you to understand what is going on here. Okay. It's still possible because we are dealing with this higher level programming language. Okay. When you read it, you can possibly understand what is going on. Okay. So basically, here, few things you realize, few changes or difference you realize is fixed update. Okay? Instead of update, fixed update. Okay? Try to Google it later. Okay? You will get pretty good description or explanation. Okay? Probably some Google explains better than me. Okay? And here though, okay, one thing you want to think about is, okay, there's update and there's fixed update. Okay? So update basically is it will update your code in every single frame. Okay? Fixed update pretty much the same, okay? But it actually will give you a little better updating system because if you use fixed update, okay, it will force your system or your game to follow kind of a physical clock of your computer. Meaning, sometimes, okay, if we have really high-end graphics in your game in the game, it is lagging sometimes. That meaning actually, you try to update your code every single frame, but your CPU works too hard, your GPU works too hard, so it basically gets lagging, okay? Because you have to process everything in every single frame. But if you do fixed update, you kind of ignore that. Okay? You basically update your code every single frame, like usually depending on the physical clock of your computer. So sometimes, especially when we do character movement, okay, we use a fixed update a little more often. Another thing you can kind of see is, if you look at this one, okay, I'm going to play, and then I'm going to actually stop, okay, and then I can click this one. Okay, now basically I am seeing like frame by frame animation, or like what really happens in each frame. Okay, I'll stop it. Okay, again, I'm going to play and stop, and then now I can click this button to go to this next frame. Okay. And then as you can see, as I clicked, it falls down. Sometimes developers use this pause mode to understand what really happens in every single frame. So if I just go to this portion, okay, I can see its position, and then I can go to next frame, and then you can actually see this position, especially y coordinate, got decreased because of this gravity. Okay? So here, I mean, probably it's not that critical at this point, but once you want to create more complicated game, you might want to see how it really works in frame by frame, and you can use this next frame button to do that. Okay? And then this time sometimes is important and critical. Okay? So when you do fixed update, you will get more fixed update with a fixed time. Okay? If you just use update, at this point you're not going to face that issue. But in industry, if you have like crazy 3D characters that have to calculate all the shading of your texture depending on the movement, then you might want to use fixed update to force. So sometimes, again, like what really happens sometimes is if you just use regular update, if you have, in this frame, I want to calculate all this shading stuff, okay? And then sometimes that processing shading stuff takes more than one frame. Then what's going to happen? Okay? You might see lagging, or you might see some weird stuff on your game. So that is why we use fixed update. So whether everything gets processed or not, it just go to next frame so that it makes sure all the timing will be right in your game. Okay? And then here, this one, I'll try to be brief. So here, it takes vector 3 row position. Vector 3 means it can have 3 different numbers, x, y, z. Okay? Cam.screen to the word point input mouse point. So whenever you move your mouse, it actually records x, y, and z coordinate. And then we create this target position, row position.x, transform.position y, and 0 and 0. Meaning row position x meaning is it's mouse input. So it actually doesn't do anything. But in here, transform.position y, it will actually use transform.position y, which is kind of like different number. I'm going to actually come back to this soon. And z 0 0 meaning we don't do anything. Okay. So now you can actually see, oh, I have row position.x. What if I'm going to have row position.y? Okay, so let's see what's going to happen. Save. Play. Now, I am passing that mouse input on y coordinate into that target position. So now my character follows my mouse cursor. Okay. So this is kind of like essence of this script. Okay. What's really happening here is this kind of 2 lines. And then like to do this, actually, we have this one. And float target width would be, I'm using clamp, meaning I'm going to recognize how wide my character is and try to like build some buffer. Okay? But true essence is right over here. Okay? It basically read mouse input and then pass those numbers to target position and then move my character to that target position. It happens really quickly, so it basically kind of jump around. But something you can play with is, let's say, game maximize on play. So now I have here, and then, so now actually it's like fast enough, but sometimes, let's say, so I'm going to click here. Oops. Oh, crazy stuff. Click here. Okay. Now, basically, my cursor is outside of frame. And then I'm going to click here. Then it will read my x, y, z coordinate from here. Then it will instantly jump like this. Okay. So something like this. So this is main like a critical point of this mouse movement. And then another thing is, we're not going to do it for this game, but for the space shooter game, okay, we'll try to attempt to build that space shooter game for Android device. And you probably want to, instead of space bar, probably you want to have mouse button. Okay? Mouse button actually pretty much same. Like we can use mouse button number 0. That stands for the left mouse button. And then that actually on Android device, that will be recognized as the screen touch. So you can move around your character, and then you can kind of push or click on the screen, and then it recognizes as mouse button. Okay? Anyways, and then here I put like a few things we have to think about is screen orientation. I kind of mentioned that. Dynamic positioning. So this one, again, is something we're going to talk about next week. Okay? But here, okay, let's say I'm going to create this one for build settings, Android, switch platform. Okay. And then I'm going to use, let's say, landscape. Okay. And then main camera, I'm going to change its size. Okay. Something like this. Okay. So now it will work okay in Android device, which has resolution of 2960 times 1440. But if someone actually has like a lower resolution, something like this, okay, it actually not going to cover everything. Okay, so if someone has like an Android, so let's say if you want to publish your game in the United States, you can make that assumption, oh, probably many people will use pretty decent Android device. I mean, it's kind of hard to define what that decent Android phone, but you can actually make assume, oh, probably people have better than certain resolution. But what if you want to publish your game in different countries, like third world countries? They might use pretty old Android device. Then you have to think about, oh, I have to optimize my game for the old Android device with maybe 1200 times 800 screen. Okay? And then you can actually create that. You can create different size of background, but sometimes that's pretty hard. Okay? So I'm not going to do this today, but here. Oops, no. Oh, what am I doing? Okay. Landscape. Okay. So here, instead of giving fixed size of my image, we can actually use dynamic positioning and dynamic size. So there's a certain way to recognize the width of your screen, and then using that 100% of the width or 90% of the width. Okay, so there's a way to do it, and that's something you need to kind of think about. So a lot of times, just making a game for your PC or Mac is easier because you can actually have better control about the size of screen and stuff. Okay? Or you can just assume that, or you can force people to open it in full screen. Okay? But if you want to create a game for Android device or iOS device, now it's kind of crazy because they have so many different like resolutions. And then what makes it worse is every 6 months or every year they come up with different phone. And then you have to think about like, oh, I have to think about that phone and that phone and that phone, and then it's really, really tough. Okay? So sometimes you can develop your game maybe in 3 months, okay? But sometimes it takes like 1 month to just do the optimization. Okay? Because you don't want to publish a game and someone download it and then install it. Oh, it doesn't look like anything like they advertised. Okay? That's like a big issue. Okay? All right. And and then another thing is I'm going to kind of show you. I'll save it just in case. Okay, so if you build it for OS X, you'll see something like this. Okay, and A stands for this. A stands for like app. This one actually is packages folder. You can actually show package contents go inside of this folder. Okay? But at least in iOS, it appears as kind of one packages folder like this. But if you actually open this one in PC, it will just appear as a folder. Okay? And usually OS X, it will just force to open it in the full screen. Okay? This is something I did with my team, and then like simple stuff. But anyways, simple simulation. Okay? And then if you do the same thing with PC, usually it will give you slightly more choice. Slightly more choice. I'm just going to show you how it works. Okay. Oh. Yes, I don't like this, but sometimes I have to carry two laptops because when you work with the client, sometimes you have to kind of deliver two different things with the different formats, platforms. Okay, so do I have that somewhere? Yes, this one. This one is for PC. Yeah. And then this one comes as like a folder, and you would have exe file. And then when you do this though, you have to actually have this the data folder. Okay, so I have this data folder. This data folder is folder where all the information and things are stored. Later on, you can actually package this with the autorun.inf thing so that like people actually don't see this package content. Okay? But usually, you to build it for PC, then you will see this folder with exe file. Okay? And then when you do this, okay, oh, yeah. Ooh. Okay. Maybe I erased something, but I'm going to actually show you a different one. Okay. Oh, okay, this one. Okay. I don't have it here. Okay. I don't know what. That's strange. Okay. What I'm going to do then, I'm going to do this really quick. PC Mac and okay. Build. Okay. So I will just show you this simple process. Okay. And create donation. Okay. So basically, when you do this with PC, you can choose whether it's going to be windowed or not. Almost done. Come on. Yeah. Okay, so now, so probably like I erased this one like a WinPix event runtime, but now, So now, okay, you will actually get this configuration, okay? And then you can choose screen resolution, okay? Whether windowed or not. If you put windowed and play, it will be like this. It's windowed. Anyway, this was actually another one simple project I did for Scroll Business to create this interactive donation wall using Unity. So it could be windowed like this, or it can be just full screen like this. And then now you're wondering, we do have that Unity logo. So if you purchase Pro version, you can get rid of it. Okay. If you use free version, you have to deal with it. Okay. You will see that Unity. But when you do like when you post things on Google Play Store, you probably don't want to use it. So a lot of times what people do, yeah, I'm going to develop my game with basic free version, and right before they release it, they purchase Pro version and then get rid of that Unity logo. And Pro version is, I think it's like $35 per month or 29, I don't know, but and I do have my own company, and then I bought Pro version plus like extra sit. I think extra sit is yes, well, I mean, like they withdraw money from my credit card, so I don't know how much it is, but it's either $7 or $14, I think. So sometimes, yeah, there's something like if you want to run your own company, these days you don't have to have that much money. Okay? Like Pro version, like let's say $35. If you want to use a collab, Unity collab with like 7 or 8 people in your team, you probably purchase. I think 3 seats is come with Pro version, and then you buy 4 more. So monthly cost would be just like $50 to $60, and then you might want to, if you want to do 3D stuff, you have to purchase Studio Max. It used to be $1,500, but now for startup companies, they sell it as $299, and actually that's for 1 year, so yearly subscription, but a lot cheaper now, $299, I think. And then you probably want to purchase Adobe. That's like $30 per month. So we're looking at probably $100, and then probably you want to actually spend more money to web server and for the website. So, but still, we're looking at probably $100 to $150. Anyways, it's 11:45 almost, and yeah. So this for this assignment, you don't have to put APK. But next week, when we're going to create simple apps, okay, we're going to talk more about APK and dynamic positioning and that kind of stuff. Yes.
Will you give extra credit if we do for APK for this?
Do you really need extra credit? Then just submit it and then like put little notes. I did this and I want to try to get some.
I'm trying to do the Android build on
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
but it's not working in the SDK.
Oh, but anyways, yeah, why not? Yeah, I'll give you like a 0.5 point, 0.5 points extra credit. Yeah. No, 0.5 point is literally 10% of your. I mean, yeah, yeah. All right. Any other question? All right, then I'll see you guys next week.